Hello and welcome back to another week of Open Mic Night. Really glad you guys decided to join me tonight or today, whenever you guys are listening to this podcast. Tonight we are going to cover some tech news. We're going to talk about Windows. We're going to talk about Facebook. But then the most fun part of this podcast is we are going to cover my top 10 free applications that you guys can put onto your computer. So stick around. It's going to be a good time. All right, so like I said, welcome back to another episode of Open Mic Night. I'm really glad you guys are here. My name is Mike Weger, and I am the founder of Weger Tech. And so over here, we run two podcasts now. But Open Mic Night is all about keeping you guys up to date on your tech news, giving you guys some advice, some tips, keeping the technology in your life working for you. So we have a lot of fun over here. If you guys are not joining us live, if you're listening to us on a podcast version, come on out on Tuesday nights. Usually it's Tuesday. I know tonight is Wednesday. Last night I had to move it to Wednesday, but most Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time over at omnpodcast.com/live. omnpodcast.com. I know I mentioned it last week, but for those of you guys who are new, that is the new website. So everything is transferred over there. So there's still Weger Tech, and that's the main landing page. But if you guys just want the information on this podcast, OMN for Open Mic Night, podcast.com is where you guys can head over to. So let's go ahead and let's just jump right into the news this week. There's a lot of fun news. So Windows had an announcement last week, or Microsoft rather, had an announcement last week covering Windows. And they covered actually a brand new product beyond Windows, but I'm going to save that and talk about that another week, and I'm going to kind of give you guys the details on that. But what I want to talk to you guys about is about the Windows 10. So Windows 10 is coming out, the consumer version. There have been a lot of, test betas and stuff like that out, but not to the public. So now there is going to be the consumer version of Windows 10. Now, the interesting part about Windows 10 is that it is going to be Windows 10 across the board. So if you are on the computer, if you are on the tablet, the phone, even the Xbox One, it is going to be Windows 10. So it is a system-wide update. You are going to have Windows 10 on every single Microsoft product you own. Or I guess not Microsoft, it could be HP, but any sort of device that runs Windows is going to run Windows 10. So it's really interesting how it's all going to connect, and the usability of it between devices is a little Apple-like. So when you think of Apple and you think of the best part about having Apple products is that the ecosystem flows together. I can use my iPhone with my Apple TV, and I can use my iPad with my iMac. It all just kind of goes together. And so Windows is kind of taking the same approach. They want to be able to have the same sort of experience on all of their devices. But that really wasn't even the most shocking part of the announcement. The most shocking part of the announcement was that Windows 10 will actually be free. It is going to be a free upgrade. And so again, kind of Apple-like in that Apple really, in order to get people to upgrade and to be on the latest system, which there is a lot of perks to companies on having all of their customers on the latest system. It's easier to support one system mainly. It's easier for developers if they know that a lot of the users are on the newest version of the operating system. So there's an incentive to get every one of your customers on the latest operating system. Microsoft obviously realized that, and so they're giving away Windows 10 free. Now, that's free for the first year, so if you have Windows 7 or 8 and you want to upgrade, make sure you do it in the first year. Now, this doesn't mean that if you upgrade in that first year that you're going to have to pay afterwards. It just means that you have a year to upgrade to Windows 10 in order to get it for free. So be sure when Windows 10 does launch, and I'll get that launch date for you guys. I actually don't have it in front of me. But when Windows 10 does launch, be sure to do it in the first year. That way you get it for free. So with the Windows 10, you see things like Cortana. So Cortana is the kind of Siri, OK Google kind of competition. So Cortana is their voice recognition, their voice command center. And so Windows 10 is going to have Cortana built in on almost all of their devices. So which is great. I'm starting to use Siri a lot more on my phone, and I do use it on my iPad as well. And I use the voice recognition on my computer, but obviously there's no Siri on the computer yet. on the Mac side. And so I think it is going to be interesting to see how many people do use that Cortana for Windows 10. The thing I do like, though, my favorite part of this announcement, going back to the fact that it's free. I think one of the hardest parts, especially for businesses, is that a lot of businesses use Windows, but they're using very old versions of Windows. Some even back on XP, but for sure they're on Windows 7, and most of them did not go to Windows 8 when there was that upgrade. So I think going back to Windows 10, going back to the basics, going back to what they're good at, not getting too fancy and flashy, and giving it out for free, I think that's going to be a great thing for Microsoft. I think it's a great idea, giving it out for free, going back to your basics, nothing big and flashy like Windows 8 was. I think you're going to get those businesses to hop on and maybe even upgrade to Windows 10, and the fact that it's free, obviously that's a big, big incentive to upgrade to the latest operating system. So I think that's going to be a great thing for Microsoft. I was happy with the announcement. Like I said, there's one more product that they announced, but I'm going to talk about that maybe next week or the week after. I'm going to wait till I have a guest on. I have one guest that I think would love to talk about that. So that was for the Windows announcement. Those were kind of the key aspects that you guys need to know. If you guys want more information, The Verge was live blogging. I love The Verge. That's who I go to for a lot of my tech news. And so if you want any more information on what went on during the Windows announcement, they had a great blog over there that's still up. You can go through the history of it. So head on over there. Just give a Google search to Windows announcement, which was last Wednesday. So Facebook came out with their Q4 results. And they beat analyst projections in a lot of categories. But the biggest statistic that I focused on when I saw the Q4 results from Facebook was that their ads, so the cost to put an ad on Facebook, has actually increased 335%. So it's a 335% hike in prices on putting an ad on Facebook. Now, this also comes with the statistic that actually the Facebook impression numbers are down. So there's going to be less impressions per ad, but you're paying 335% more. So when asked about the disparity between these two numbers, Facebook said that it's because their advertisements are a lot more personal. They are able to tailor their advertisements to pretty much the exact customer that you want. Because Facebook knows a lot about you. They know your sex, they know your age, they know your interests, they know a lot about you. And so Facebook is going to be able to tailor those ads for those advertisers, and that is what makes those ads so valuable for the advertisers. And that's why they can charge 335% more than they were, even though the impression numbers are down. But I just thought that was still interesting because 335% is a lot. I can understand, maybe doubling your prices, but 335% is a massive hike. And for me, the reason I'm interested in this whole kind of people paying for Facebook advertisements is that I do spend quite a bit of time on Facebook, but I completely ignore the ads. Now, when they changed and they started putting the ads in the actual news feed, they kind of made it hard to distinguish between an advertisement and maybe a post from a friend. And so that is helping a little bit. I do find myself watching, a Budweiser commercial, the cute one that just came out with the puppy and the Clydesdale horses. I do find myself clicking on those, not even realizing that they're advertisements. So I do click on a few, but for the most part, I pretty much ignore all the Facebook advertisements. And so if those advertisers are out there saying, Mike is a 20-some-year-old male guy who loves technology, even if they're throwing me those sort of ads, they're still not that enticing to me because I think a lot of us have gotten really good at kind of zoning out the advertisements. We're kind of good at, just looking at what we're trying to find. When you see all the banner advertisements and everything on websites, I think we're great at ignoring those. And so it's just interesting to me that people are still paying for those advertisements. Obviously, they must be working or else companies wouldn't be shelling out that kind of cash for advertisements on Facebook. But I want to know what you guys think about this. I want to know, do you guys look at Facebook advertisements? Would you pay top dollar to have an advertisement on Facebook? I've had a little bit of experience in it. I've tried just as an experiment running an ad from the Uyghur Tech Facebook page to see how many more likes I would get and stuff like that. And there was a little bit of engagement, but I wasn't too impressed. Now, then again, I'm not the big, huge businesses that Facebook is really giving these advertisements to. I'm not Target, Walmart, Best Buy, those sort of companies who are doing a lot of advertising on Facebook. But their revenue in Q4 for Facebook was another number that jumped out at me. Just in Q4 alone, they had $3.81 billion in revenue. Now, I had not, I've looked at the IPO when Facebook first went public and was looking at their numbers and really never thought that they would be at this level of revenue for one quarter. So you got to think 3.8 billion, and that is just one quarter. And so that's a lot of money if you take that for a whole year. And they actually beat analyst projections. Analysts put them at 3.7 billion, and they came in at 3.81. Now, when you start to think of how does Facebook even make money, obviously you think advertisements, but the one thing you got to think of is all of the different companies that Facebook has acquired recently. Facebook actually owns the top 4 most downloaded applications on smartphones and devices worldwide. So not just the United States, worldwide. If you take the top 4 applications that have been downloaded, and that's WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Facebook Messenger. They own all 4 of those. And a lot of people didn't know that Instagram and WhatsApp are owned by Facebook, but they are. You think of Facebook and you just think of Facebook and Facebook Messenger. But there's a common thread between WhatsApp, Facebook, and Facebook Messenger, and that's that Facebook wants to be the way that you communicate with the world, with instant messaging or posts on Facebook, however it is, but they're really into the messaging. They paid top dollar for WhatsApp, and with their own Facebook Messenger app, now that they split it out, they really want to focus and be one of the best messaging services out there. And so this was just a shock to me. I hadn't really looked into Facebook numbers. I don't know if any of you guys had looked into them since the IPO of Facebook, but I thought I would bring it to your attention, and that ad price just jumped out at me. 335% more money to run an ad on Facebook. Kind of crazy, but also very interesting. And so those are my top 2 news stories. And so we are going to jump into the fun part of the show, and that is where I talk to you guys about my top 10 best, what I think to be some of the best free software that you guys can put on your computer. Now, most of these are going to be for Mac and Windows, so I'm not just doing Mac here. I'm doing Mac and Windows, but some of them are just Mac and some of them are just Windows. But I will make sure to tell you guys which ones are which. And so we are going to start. We're going to go 10 to 1, and this is just kind of a ranking that I put down probably 5 minutes before the show. So they're really in no particular order, but I'm going to start with, towards the top, number 10s and stuff like that. Those are going to be some of the more common apps. And then I'm going to get down to number 2 and 1, which are 2 of my just most favorite free applications. And so let's go ahead and start with number 10. Number 10 is something I have talked with you guys about before. I've talked about how important it is to be able to have all your documents sync back and forth between all of your devices. And there's a lot of different services that offer this type of syncing, but I'm just going to throw you out my favorite. I've tested most of them, and just still the most rock solid one for me and my favorite, and actually they just came out with a new pricing tier that is very, very enticing, is Dropbox. So Dropbox, of course, is free for, a certain amount of gigs. I still do not pay for Dropbox, and I have about 5 gigs of storage, which is more than enough for me because I mainly just do my school documents, my Word documents, my notes, stuff like that, my Uyghur Tech stuff, all my graphics and stuff like that is what I'm putting in my Dropbox. So I don't need a lot of storage, and 5 gig is more than enough for me. I think I'm only at 50% of that Dropbox storage. But when you think about free services that are powerful, Dropbox is just one of those. It's a super powerful service. It allows you to be mobile, to have your computer at work, sync with your computer at home, sync with your phone. You have your documents wherever you need them, which is extremely important for business people, for students. I am always on different devices, and even if I forget my computer and I just have someone else's, I can always log into the website and get to my notes, get to whatever I need as a student, which is fantastic. And they're also starting to, a lot of these products that I'm going to tell you guys about, a lot of these apps are free, and then you can also upgrade them for money, which is how most things are. If it's a free application, usually you can add some sort of feature set to it by paying a little bit more. So Dropbox, obviously, you can pay more for more storage, so you can make it as large as you want. And they have a new plan out for you can get, up to a terabyte of Dropbox storage for, I can't remember the price right now, but it's extremely affordable, and they just came out with that pricing plan. So it's something to definitely think about. Dropbox. So that is my number 10. Give Dropbox a try. If you have multiple devices, and a lot of people tell me, you've told me about it, but I've just never done it. if you have two computers, if you have a work computer and a home computer, or even if you have a computer and a smartphone, just try it out. Install Dropbox, shoot me an email at mike@uyghurtech.com. And that reminds me, I'm trying out this new software tonight so I can actually put up my lower third for those of you watching the video. And my email will be up there for the rest of the show. So mike@uyghurtech.com. If you guys want to get into Dropbox, if you guys have a question about any of these applications, feel free to shoot me an email. Again, mike@uyghurtech.com. I would love to help you out, love to get you set up, because Dropbox especially is just one of those things I think everyone should have Dropbox or some sort of syncing service. So give it a try and go ahead and try Dropbox. So that's number 10. Number 9 is a very popular application. A lot of people use it, but still I find some people that don't know about it, is Evernote. Evernote is an extremely powerful, pretty much note-taking software, but I don't like calling it note software because it does so much more. You can store photos in there. You can, I use it for grocery lists. I use it for making my agenda for what I'm going to talk about on open mic night. And Evernote is, again, one of those pieces of software, and you'll notice a trend with some of these picks that I have in my top 10. It syncs between all of your devices. So you can have Evernote, and it's on every platform you can imagine. If you're on Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Windows mobile phone, you're going to have Evernote wherever you need it. And again, it's free. I have not paid for Evernote yet. You can pay for some more high-end features, just like the other ones, if you want to use some of the collaboration features, or if you maybe are part of a business, you can pay for it. But for the free service, I still have not paid for Evernote. I use it all the time. I have it installed on my phone and on all my computers, and I'm always just wanting to jot down a note. It's for when you think of stuff and you don't know where to put it, you can put it in Evernote, because then whenever you remember it, even if you're not on the device you put it down on, you have access to that, which is fantastic. So Evernote is my number 9 pick for you guys. Number 8 is going to get a little more technical. So for those of you who have ever needed an FTP client, which is File Transfer Protocol, I actually just used it the other day to move my website over to my new server. And so I know I might lose you guys on this one, but if you guys need one, FileZilla is still one of the best FTP clients. It's easy to use. It's not complicated. So if any of you guys are just the normal people out there who don't do much technology, but all of a sudden, randomly, for some reason, some guy says, hey, I need you to, do an FTP connection to me, and you don't know what application to download, go with FileZilla. It's free, it's secure, it's just awesome. It's easy to use. I love FileZilla, and so that's what I use to connect all my FTP clients, and it even does SFTP. So if you are using that, it also supports SFTP, which is fantastic. So FileZilla, another one of those that I'm sure a lot of people know about, and if you are doing FTP, I'm sure you do use FileZilla, but just in case, FileZilla is a free piece of software. I use it almost daily, and just another great piece of software. So number 7. Now, a lot of people are confused about number 7 because they think you have to pay for it. They don't know that you can actually use the service for free on certain devices, and that is Spotify. I love Spotify. I actually pay for the premium version of Spotify so I can get some more features and use it on my phone and stuff like that. But if you are just wanting to listen to songs, Spotify has a ton of songs. I'm talking almost all the new songs. They usually get it right away. Taylor Swift, actually, the news story was that she pulled her stuff off Spotify. But if you want to listen to music for free on your computer, remember, we're not talking about mobile phones in this application. So all these applications are going to be for your computer. Spotify on the computer is fantastic, and you can listen to whatever songs you want. You can go on shuffle on some playlists. You can see what other people are putting on their playlists. So if you want to give Spotify a try, I would say try it out because it is free. So if you just go to Spotify.com and you download the software, it is free on the computer to listen to. As far as I know, that's the way it used to be. So I'm pretty sure it is still free, though, on the computer. But obviously, so for I think $8 or $9 a month, I'm not sure what it is, but you can get the premium service, and that allows you to make all your own playlists. You don't have to, I think with the free version, you have to maybe, if you make a playlist, it's on shuffle, and you can't choose exactly what song you want to listen to at that time. But if you pay for the premium, you can put it all on your phone. You can actually download the songs to your phone. So in the Spotify app, you can have certain playlists that are downloaded so that if you don't have an internet connection, you can still listen to the songs, which that was really what got me, is because I sometimes don't have the best service where I live. And so having the ability to download those songs to my phone it comes in handy quite a bit. And so Spotify, try it out, try the free version if you are into music at all and if you haven't tried Spotify, but I'm sure you guys have. So number 6. So now from 6 on down are a lot of apps that, 7 through 10, a lot of you guys have probably heard of those apps. But on 6 through 1, I really tried to pick some apps that maybe you guys have not heard of before or haven't used. And so number 6 is Blackmagic Disk Speed Test. Now this one, I'm pretty sure it's on Windows. I have it for Mac, and I got it through the App Store. So you can go to the App Store on your Mac and download the Blackmagic Disk Speed Test. I'm almost positive it's out for Windows too, but I don't want to say that and then be wrong. But what the disk speed test does is it does exactly what it says. It tests the speed of your hard drive or your SSD. So if you have a hard drive that's kind of going bad and you think, man, this thing just seems really slow, you can download the speed test app, the Blackmagic speed test app, and you can just test out your hard drive. So what it does is it does the read and write speeds to it. So it says how fast can I get data from the hard drive and how fast can I put data back on the hard drive. And then, of course, if you don't know what numbers are normal, a simple Google search will tell you, what speeds you should be getting from your hard drive. And it's a good indicator of it might be time for a new hard drive. Hard drives do go bad, especially the spindle type of hard drives. It has moving parts in it, so over the years, it's going to slow down. And so just Google, what your speed should be, and then use the Blackmagic speed test to see what actually speeds you are getting. Another use case for it, the main reason I actually got the app was when I took out all my spindle drives. I don't use any spindle drives anymore, and I put SSDs into all my computers. And so I ran the speed test when I was doing the spindle drive, and then I wanted to see how much of a speed boost I was getting by using my SSD. And so once I had the SSD installed, I used the Blackmagic speed test for that as well. And so that's a free app for Mac users. It's in the App Store. It may be on the website for you Windows users. Again, I didn't check into that. Sorry. I'm the Mac guy. You guys know that already about me. So that is number 6. Number 5, moving right on down. We're halfway through. We're getting halfway through this list. Number 5 is Wunderlist. So Wunderlist is a little bit like Evernote, just not as full-featured. For what I use Wunderlist for is when I need quick lists. So it's exactly what it says, list. So for anything like grocery lists, or if you have a list of things you want to talk about in a meeting, if you have a list of tasks that you need to do before the end of the day, Wunderlist is fantastic. And again, it's one of those apps that's going to sync with your computer. So Wunderlist, and this is just, I believe, iOS and Mac. And so if you have the app on your phone, which I do, I can type up my list. If I'm in the morning and as I'm getting ready, I can be thinking of stuff. And then when I go and sit down in front of my computer, I launch Wunderlist, and they're all right there. And so it's kind of a complementary app to Evernote. I use Evernote for like my big long lists. Let's say I'm writing a paragraph out that I want to put into an email and I'm thinking about it right now. I'll put that in Evernote. But anything that's list oriented, I will go ahead and put that into Wunderlist. It is a really good UI. I love the way it looks. Very simple to use. Checkboxes. So as you talk about things, like for me, if I put, what I'm going to talk about on open mic night, as I talk about them, it has a checkbox and you start checking them off, puts a nice little line through it so you've done it. And it's free. Again, there's the premium you can pay for if you want to do more collaboration stuff with it. But for the free service, you can have, I believe, as many lists as you want. And the thing I love about it too is you can also have categories. And so I have a category for each one of my classes in school. And then within those categories, I can have lists, whether it's homework, whether it's things I want to talk about in the paper I'm writing, whatever it is. I love that you can categorize it, very customizable, different colors for each and that sort of stuff. And so that's Wunderlist, Wunderlist. And for all of these applications, I'm going to have all of the links to download these applications in the show notes. And so if you guys are watching this on YouTube, head on over to omnpodcast.com and just look for this episode. And in the show notes will be all of the links to these apps so you guys can get them quickly and easily, which is the whole point of Uyghur Tech. If I didn't put the links in, that would just defeat the whole purpose of what I'm doing here. So that was number 5. Number 4 is a very powerful application if you are like me and if you are kind of the go-to tech guy for your family. If you have ever gotten a call from a family member, a friend, your girlfriend, wife, whatever, and they've asked you, hey, this thing's going on my computer, I don't know what to do. If you have ever gotten that call, this piece of software is a must-have, and it's a must-have because it's free and it's full-featured. I love it. It's fantastic. And what it is, it's called TeamViewer. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of TeamViewer. A lot of actually businesses use it to control their internal computers. But what TeamViewer is, it's free for personal use. And so what it allows you to do is I have TeamViewer installed on my computer. And let's say, my mom has TeamViewer on her computer too. She lives in a completely different city. But if she's having a problem on her computer, what she does is she can, give me the number on her TeamViewer. So she opens the app and she reads me the number. I plug that into mine, and all of a sudden I can see her screen and have complete control over her computer. But the thing I love about TeamViewer is that if you have someone that you do this a lot with, so if you're always helping your mom out with her computer, and what you can do is you can save these settings into your TeamViewer. So all she has to do is launch TeamViewer, and you can do everything else. She doesn't have to give you numbers. She doesn't have to find anything. And so it's really simple. If you have someone that has a problem, you get them to install TeamViewer, and the next time they call you, just say, okay, just hit TeamViewer. Just hit that button, and I'll take care of it. It saves you so much time. There's so many times where I've been on the phone trying to go back and forth with someone. Okay, what does it look like? Okay, is there a button that says this? It's just a lot easier if you can just go in, see it, control it, and do it in a few seconds. And then they're on their way. You saved them time. You saved yourself time. You saved the frustration of, just the communication barrier. And so TeamViewer is a must-have. It's actually, TeamViewer could have been my number one. I really like it. I love it. I use it all the time, and it's fantastic. Now, again, just like all these other applications, if you are using this in the business setting, there is the premium payment plan that you can pay for it, but it is free for personal use, which I think is fantastic. Someone needed to make this sort of software free. A lot of us in the olden days were getting on, iChat and controlling the computer through that, or using GoToMyPC, which is a fantastic piece of software. GoToMyPC is amazing. I've used that in the past, but it costs money. And so if you're looking for a free alternative, try out TeamViewer. So again, a link to that will be in the description below. So that was number 4. Number 3, switching gears a little bit, is a password keeper. So I've talked to you guys, a few episodes ago about the importance of always changing your passwords and making sure they are long passwords that are secure. They're not normal words, and it's not your name, it's not your birthday. It's just a random set of letters and numbers. Well, I recognize that that's very hard to do because it's hard to remember what those passwords are. So one way you can remember those passwords is by using a password manager. So a password manager app, what it does is you have one main password that you use to log into the app, and then the app will save all of the passwords to your individual websites or applications or anything that you use, and so you don't have to remember them. So the app I'm going to tell you guys about, the free one that I like, there's a lot of password managers out there, and a lot of them are quite expensive. 1Password is pretty expensive if you put it on your Mac, but a free version with paid upgrades, of course, but the free version of LastPass, LastPass, is a fantastic, fully functional password manager. And they've made a lot of big upgrades for iOS 8, and, because iOS 8 allows your phone to pull in stuff from other apps. And so LastPass has been doing a lot of updates to their system, but it's a very easy to use password manager. Now, because it's free, there are some downsides to it. I will admit that the GUI, the way it looks, is a little clanky. It looks like it was made a while ago. It looks like something that you might have used 5-6 years ago. It doesn't have the cleanest, nicest UI, maybe like something like 1Password does, but it's free and you don't have to pay for it, and it's completely secure. They are one of the most secure password managers as far as I know of. And so try LastPass out. If you have trouble remembering your passwords, give LastPass a try. And the one feature I really do like about LastPass is it can create a password for you. And when it creates a password, it makes it extremely long, extremely random, just uppercase, lowercase, letters with special characters in there and numbers. It just makes it for you, but then it saves it. And so the chances of you having that account hacked by having your password guessed or brute forced is extremely low. So just one reminder, when I say LastPass, I've always got to tell you guys, be sure you guys are changing your passwords at least, I'd say, once every 3 to 6 months. A lot of times, when I'm at the office at work, I hear people complain a lot about how, the company makes me switch my password every 3 months, and it's such a pain, and they have all these workarounds. But if you can just get into some sort of system that you have to change your passwords every 3 to 6 months, it's just a really good idea. Like I've told you mine, I have the same 5-digit random array of letters, and then I use different sets of special characters and numbers on the end of it, depending on what kind of website it is. And that's a really a really good system. So you have, it's not random, but something, A, B, C, D, E, and make that random, and then a certain set of numbers on the end of it to signify, okay, this is a financial sort of website, this is a social media website. So you have all different websites for all different accounts. Last piece of advice on that is definitely do not have the same password for all of your accounts, and most especially your financial accounts and your social media accounts. Social media accounts get hacked a lot, and if you have the same password for your Facebook as you do for your bank, it's really easy for those people to go in and then just use that password on everything, and they have access to all of your data. So at least split up your passwords by category if you can't do it by each individual website, which is even a better idea. So I got on my little password soapbox there. I'm sorry, I won't go into it again. But number 3, like I said, was LastPass. It's free. Great way to remember your passwords, especially if you have to change your passwords a lot. And most organizations, most businesses I know, especially with compliance and stuff, most of them will allow you to use LastPass. A lot of companies have restrictions on what apps they allow you to use. So of course, check with your company before you put it on your work computer. But most of them are okay with LastPass, mainly because they like the fact that it helps their people change their passwords on a regular basis. So that was number 3. Number 2 is another really fun application, and it's one for you audio editors out there. So if you edit any sort of audio, and if you're on a Mac or a Windows machine, you can get Audacity. So Audacity is a fantastic, again, fully functional, which has been another really a main feature of all these applications, that they're fully functional. They're not limited when they're free. A lot of times if you get free software and just looking for any sort of free software, it'll be extremely limited. They'll give you like a few features and you have to pay for the rest. But most of these things I've been telling you guys about are fully functional at the free level. And Audacity is completely free. And it has a lot more customizable options than even like GarageBand does. So I do use GarageBand most of the time for most of my editing because I have simple edits. Most of the time I'm just cutting, throwing a little compression on there and stuff like that. But if you want a fully functional audio editor, now it's not going to have all the high-end features. When I say fully functional, I mean the basics. But it's not going to have the high-end stuff like you would get from any of the Adobe products or Logic from Apple or anything like that, but it is going to have a lot of features more than most of your other free audio editing software. I love it for the fact that you can add in plugins, so a lot of people will make fantastic plugins for Audacity. If you hear someone in the way something sounds and they use Audacity, a lot of times maybe the big ones will create a plugin so you can make your content sound just like theirs. But the fact that it's free, customizable, you can add in plugins, it's just another one of those audio editors that you guys can try. I know there's a lot of audio editors out there, and I know a lot of you guys who are on Mac are just going to use GarageBand, like I do. But if you ever need something a little more functional with a little more customizable options, then give Audacity a try. So that's Audacity. Again, there will be a link down in the description, but Audacity is one of my favorite. Obviously, it's number 2, but it's one of my favorite free applications that sits on my computer. I use it all the time, even when I edit in GarageBand. Usually, I'll export it and then pull it into Audacity and do a few more runs through different sort of effects and stuff like that. And so, give Audacity a try. So now we are down to my number 1 favorite free application on my computer. It's an application that I find myself using all of the time. And the reason I use it all of the time is because it's something I was searching for. And pretty much what it is, it's called GIMP. And it is a image editor, and that's kind of a bad way to describe it. But if you think of it's a free kind of dumbed down version of Photoshop. And it's actually, so if you have Photoshop and you're used to Photoshop and you use a lot of the advanced options, it's not going to have that. But if you are someone like me and you create, you just need to create a certain sized image, you need to put some text over it, you need to, brush out a certain part, or you need to combine 2 images together, some of the more basic editing, it's all you can do it all in GIMP, which is fantastic. Photoshop is expensive, and especially now they switched to the payment plan where you pay per month to get the Adobe suite of products. But if you just are doing more of the basic editing, and I wouldn't really say photo editing, that's a bad way to do it, but it's an image manipulation program. So you're moving 2 photos together. When you look at my banner images on OMN podcast, and then when you look at it on Suit and Scrubs, those are all done in GIMP. Anything where I have to put text over an image, when you guys look at my the logo on the podcast, so if you download it in iTunes or if you download this as a podcast, both of those images all done through GIMP. So I didn't need to pay the expensive price for Photoshop or any of those other editors when I could just do it in GIMP. So give it a try. Again, it's GIMP. There will be a link down in the description below. It's on all the platforms, so Windows, Mac, whatever you're on, you can definitely get GIMP. And if you are using Photoshop right now, but you're like, man, I use some of the basics and I'm paying $20, $30, $40 a month for the Adobe Suite, try GIMP out and see if it fulfills your needs, see if you can get used to it, and then you might be able to give up your Photoshop subscription. So that might save you some money each month if GIMP can do what you want to do with it. Now, I will tell you, if you guys are used to normal photo editors, if you use some apps on your phone or if you use iPhoto, GIMP is different. It's a manipulation program, so that there's the layers and stuff just like Photoshop. There's layers. It's a little bit hard to get used to if you have not used that sort of application before. But go out and watch some YouTube videos. In 10, 15 minutes, you can have GIMP up and running. I actually did a tutorial series over at Wild Academy. And so if you guys go to Wild Academy, just search it on YouTube. I actually did a GIMP series on there, and that will get you up and running within, I'd say, about half an hour. If you just watch some of those videos, you can be using GIMP. But it is my absolute number one favorite free application on the computer. And most people don't believe me when they say it's a Photoshop competitor. I mean, it doesn't have all the features of Photoshop, but I would say for about 25% of people who use Photoshop, most of them don't use the features in Photoshop that aren't available in GIMP. So just definitely give it a try. And so that is it for the top 10. But the other thing I want to talk about tonight is WLMN Radio. WLMNradio.com. If you guys have not been over there yet, give it a look, because they are doing a lot of really cool stuff over there, and they're doing great. They play great music and also great tech talk. So they have a lot of programs. And if you guys were looking at them in December, check them out again right now, because a lot of the shows just started back up. And so it's a fantastic site where they stream a lot of good stuff. They stream my content. And so if you guys go on between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., you guys will find a lot of really cool tech talk. So I'm streamed over there, and soon I'm going to be streamed live over there with my audio. So Roger is the guy over at WLN Radio. He runs the show over there. He and I are trying to get in sync with getting my live audio piped in, but I want to give a huge just thank you to them. They're amazing. They stream me. They've supported me. And this new piece of software I'm using, they were a major influence on that and helped me out a lot getting this up and running. And so very glad. Thank you to Roger over there. But just go over and check out WLMNradio.com. It's up on the screen there. It'll also be down in the show notes. And they're also on my sponsors page on my website. If you guys are doing any Amazon shopping anytime ever, I guess, you guys can support the Uyghur Tech Scholarship Fund. All of that information is on the website, on Uyghur Tech, and on OMNpodcast.com. If you go to OMNpodcast.com/Amazon or UyghurTech.com/Amazon, it'll take you right to Amazon, and anything you buy then doesn't cost you any more, but Amazon gives me some of the proceeds, and that goes into the Uyghur Tech Scholarship Fund, and you can read all about that over there. So if you guys are doing any Amazon shopping in the near future, be sure to just use that link and go over there, and then it doesn't cost you anything. So that is going to wrap it up for tonight. I'm very excited for next week. Next week's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to have a lot of cool guests coming up. We don't have a guest next week, but in the coming weeks here, we have quite a few guests, and I think you guys will really enjoy them. Some guys that I've already talked to a lot, and we've gone back and forth on some stuff. Some people you might have seen before, some people you haven't. And so stay tuned in the coming weeks. We're going to have a lot of fun. And also be sure to stay tuned. I know I said last week that the first episode of Suit and Scrubs is going to be coming out this week. My wife Hannah's voice is still gone. She's still just a little bit sick from ever since we got back from our honeymoon. So I don't know what it is, but she still doesn't have a voice. So we'll see on that. It's going to be coming out soon. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. We pretty much interview other couples, and we just talk about the funny stories, the good times, the bad times, everything that happens when you are in a relationship. And so it's not a tech show at all, but that's over at suitandscrubs.com. You can check that out over there, and I'll be sure to be tweeting out and posting on Facebook whenever that stuff comes out. That's also another really important thing. Just like last night when I had to cancel the show and move it to tonight, if you guys want to go to my Twitter, twitter.com/UyghurTech, that is where I can do that from pretty much anywhere when I'm on my phone. Last night I wasn't in front of my computer. All I had was my phone, so I just tweeted out that I was rescheduling the show. So if for any reason you guys need an update on the show or don't know where I'm at, check my Twitter. That's usually the best place to find me, but I'm also over on Facebook. So Uyghur Tech at all those places, and you will find me over there. So thank you guys all for coming out live. If you guys were in the live show, thank you for listening to the podcast version. I hope you enjoyed it. But until I talk to you guys next time, tech on.